Welcome to today's session on fake news, how to plan for it, and how to combat it. It's going to be presented today by Matt Clemens and Maria Lara. My name is Greg Jackson. I will be your session moderator. If you have any questions for our presenters, please ask those using the Q&A box, which you will find on the right-hand side of your screen. If you would like to chat with other attendees, let the group know which district you're from, or simply want to say hello, please use the chat feature, which can be found near the Q&A option. I will collect questions as they are submitted and ask them of our speakers at the end of the presentation. You can click the arrow next to other attendees' questions to upvote them, which will indicate that you would also like that question answered. At the end of the session, please visit the session page within the platform to complete the session evaluation. So with that, I'd like to introduce today's speakers and welcome Matt Clemens and Maria Lara.
All right, good morning, everyone. We're delighted we love our Oregon districts, and we are very sad that we're not enjoying a beautiful annual conference with you right now as we have in years past. We're so excited to see Jennifer Quisenberry and the whole team, but we will wait until next year, the next opportunity we have to see you face to face. Maria and I love this topic, and it's very timely in an age where local government and districts like you have such good information to get out there, but you find yourself really having a hard time to cut through the noise. And so this presentation is going to empower you with some practical tips on how you can better communicate with your communities, get your message out there, whether you're fighting alternative narratives, some straight up fake news or rumors. It's always good to get ahead of this stuff before it emerges as something that's urgent. So Maria and I are so excited to go through all of this with you today, and we want you to ask questions. Greg can jump in. Greg, you're welcome to interrupt us if some great questions are coming through during the presentation. We want this to be interactive, even though, virtual sessions like this are never quite like the real thing. We'd love to hear your questions and thoughts. We look forward to kicking it off. So that Maria is going to give an overview of what we're going to cover today.
Okay, perfect. So thank you for the introduction. So let's jump into what we're going to cover today. The first thing we're going to talk about are some examples of, what you see in a large scale, across the United States in the media, and then things more local, certain districts that we work with as well, and some true stories. And feel free to share your own if you have some. I actually heard one this morning from a district in Colorado. So feel free to do that if you need to. So sorry, my computer just restarted. 1 second. There we go, sorry. All right, so the second one is how people find this information. There's actually a science to it. It has to do with keywords, search engine optimization. So we'll teach you a little bit about that. And then what you can do. So we'll have some good takeaways for you. We do have a website I'll be sharing with you at the very end that'll actually have a nice checklist that you can all go through. And then at the very end, we'll do some Q&A. All right.
All right, so where does fake news come from? This is always kind of a fun topic. Now, we guarantee we will not be covering national politics in this talk. There's plenty to share there, but this isn't the presentation for it. But the same problems and things that happen at a national level also happen locally. So how many of you have heard of this quote? "If you want to test a man's character, give him power," by Abraham Lincoln? Go ahead and chat in, let us know. So here's the funny thing. Abraham Lincoln never said this. And despite this being referenced on the floor of Congress, despite this being referenced numerous places, in fact, this was never attributed to him. Rather, they were said about him. And so the original version of this actually came from Robert Ingersoll, like in 1883. And anyway, he said this quote, "If you want to find out what a man is to the bottom, give him power." And it's this very nice, thoughtful quote, but the easier story to share and repeat is that Abraham Lincoln said this very neat, tidy thing. And, this is the power of narrative and rumor. If something is kind of easy to share and a nice little tidbit, it can spread very quickly. Here's an example of that. Orangevale Rec and Park District is fundamentally corrupt, dishonest, self-serving, and authoritarian from a group, aka a disgruntled person named Terry, who created a Facebook profile called I Watch Special Districts. And so this person has been very busy. And this is sort of funny. We were looking at this and he says Orangevale Rec and Arc District. So, sometimes your detractors may not even have good grammar or complete sentences or words, but it's really important to know kind of what happens. And like this person, it may seem funny, but you realize this person has a lot more time than you do. And this person would take things even unrelated, like things about school districts, to point out that Orangevale Rec and Park District is fundamentally corrupt, dishonest, self-serving, and authoritarian. So anyway, in this process, what we are trying to do to fix this is really address how the public perceives information. Now, another group we worked with is San Mateo County Harbor District. When people go to find information, the first thing they do is type it into a search engine. Let's say they're going to pay their bill, or they're going to look up contact information, or you have a rate increase on the way. They're going to type in the name of your district, and the first thing that's going to come up, the first few results will frame how they understand that issue. So in this case, San Mateo County Harbor District, we look it up, we type it in, and bam, the first thing that comes up is ABC 7 News, criticized as dysfunctional. Now, to be fair, at the time, there were issues that needed to be addressed, and they worked on them. But like, how long do you want this to continue to be the top result? The other problem is like this page, if you look at it, it looks like the official page, but it's not. They didn't have a Facebook presence, so somebody else created one, grabbed the SMC Harbor District handle, and basically went to town posting all kinds of stuff. And even though they say, welcome to the unofficial San Mateo County Harbor District page, if you go to the next slide, it'll show that, they're like promoting their friend's brewing company or talking about surfing and bro culture. And it's just like, oh no, like if this is in my feed, I'm not clicking through to be like, well, is this the real San Mateo County Harbor District talking about this? So anyway, this is like a very common problem. Maria's going to talk about softball and
this one's pretty funny. This one's kind of hilarious too. This was an example of a district as well. So they had like an entire tournament set up. People were paying $200 to get into this. They didn't even check if the field was actually available with the district. So there could have been something going on, and all of these people pay and show up, and then it would be a complete failure of an event. So this is an example of how misinformation can get on there, even on a small scale, and get spread throughout Facebook, for example.
So if you
Are
can
there any stories that you all have? Go ahead.
Yeah. Like, go ahead and share.
A funny one. Yeah, I had a funny one this morning. I talked to somebody in Colorado, and he said they're on Nextdoor, the app. Somebody was claiming that their board president was getting paid $500,000, which is absurd because most board members get paid like maybe $100. So it's pretty funny. Little things like that will go around and people circulate, and then they'll protest against the services. So it could be kind of a mess. Well, any examples?
I
think Annalise said there might be a little bit of a lag on the conference or on the conference platform. So if we grab them later, no worries. We'll come back to those examples and questions. All right, so the next thing we're going to go into is how people find this information. It has to do with algorithms, some ranking science, and some other kind of interesting topics that you may or may not have heard of. But this is what will eventually lead to what we'll teach you on how to fight this information. So just take a minute to read this really cool article here. I'll give you a minute or so. So if you notice here, it talks about a study of 70% of Facebook users only read the headline of science stories before commenting. And then as you can see in the second paragraph, it's actually just some fake text of Lorem Ipsum. So this is a great example. How many times have you seen an article that goes viral and you're like, you actually click on it and read through the article and it has nothing to do with the title, but it gets shared virally. So this is pretty common here. How does this, happen? Like how is it fake news? A couple things to check out is actually the URL, the source. If it's from like a blog or maybe even a website that's kind of, on one side of a topic versus another, that'll give you an indication of, what the opinion is about this topic. Who is writing this? Is the author is it a credible author? Are they even real? And another thing to check out is the date. Is this back from like the 1990s, or is this actually something that happened today? Regardless, people don't check into these things, then it becomes fake news and misinformation very quickly. And then what happens? They start sharing it to different platforms, to different people. They share it, and it just starts to go viral. So how do people actually find fake news here? There's a science of the website rankings. This goes for actual like search engines like Google and social media. What it does is it begins with misinformation. So this could be a rumor or something inaccurate, or disinformation like a campaign operator. So this would be like the I Watch Special Districts guy, that Terry Owens. Basically, they're just starting something, and then they will use tools and services to start sharing this, right? So that would be like Facebook in this example. What happens is people hear this information, they start to share it themselves. So these are the content consumers of Facebook, if anyone were to like it and share those articles that he posted. What happens is that it gets biased due to the algorithms. Basically, think about Facebook as a business, right? They want people to go to what's most, the hottest topic, what's going to get them the most clicks, the most drive, and the most traffic. So they don't really care if it's like obvious or normal or true. It's all about, what is getting the most clicks, what's going viral. So that's how it all starts. So how many people, you can always comment in, have actually seen this and went viral? I think like about 5 years ago, the blue and black versus the white and gold dress here. I think this one has like hundreds of thousands of shares and comments online because people were just debating, what color is actually this dress. So people will respond to things that show up on their feed, first of all. Is it getting shared between your friends and anybody that you follow? And does it, resonate? Does it give you an emotional response? For some reason, people just want to not fight, but maybe disagree online. So this is what it will get all of the comments coming back and forth.
So what color is
Things
the
that
dress?
can generate,
Maria?
oh, sorry, go ahead.
So
I
what
think
color
it's
is?
black.
Okay, see, I see white and gold, like when I look at the colors.
I've never, it's so funny. I've tried to like look at different ways and like change my brightness, and I still see it the same. It's pretty interesting how this actually happens. So it actually has to do with how your brain kind of conceptualizes images, right? So we see this, I see it very literally. My brain is kind of adjusting for the contrast and the lightness and the exposure in the image. Other folks like Mac, what it does is it takes it more literally. So this is just an example of how we actually interpret content visually. So think about this, with other content. You see politics out there, and then something more local to a district like yours. So it happens all the time. Sometimes we don't even realize it's happening, but these are the types of things that make it, go viral and become fake news or just very popular. So going back to the example Max shared about the Harbor District here, as you could see, the minute you Googled them, it was the ABC 7 News article talking about them being dysfunctional. It did terrify them because it did hurt their business a bit. And they did work to, overcome this as well. Well, after that, they worked with us. We did a little bit of search engine optimization and kind of helped them with their website. And therefore, now when you Google it, it will come as the first search once you look up the actual district. So this is important because it allows them to put out the true information. Now, how do the rankings actually work for things like Google? There's a few things that you can actually control on your end. The first one is inbound links. So who's talking about you online? If people are talking about you online, is it a credible source? The second piece is the quality of content. To use natural language. Is it, able for everyone to read, or is it a little bit too scientific? This will come into play as well. The other part that's important is the ADA accessibility here. So this makes sure that, everyone who can access, content online is able to read it. So let's say they have a vision impairment, for example, make sure that your content is accessible to them. And then there are some other factors that we'll share with you as well. That's on the landing page that we'll share after this. It's a nice little handout that you can print or just use on your computer and check with your website developer. So this is PageRank. This is not something we created. This is actually Google's most formal technical way of explaining how they actually do Google ranks. It's called PageRank here. So take an example here as the big, yellow smiley. This would be like the New York Times, right? They're a very credible source. And anytime they talk about somebody, everyone knows it to be true, right? So if they were to talk about us, let's say they were to talk about Streamline and reference us in their article, we would become very credible. Google would say, ooh, that website, Streamline, must be a very credible source. And then we can point back to them. So therefore, we're looking like on Google, okay, this might be a legitimate business there. Now you have other guys that are surrounding. So let's look at all the green little smiley faces here. Think of this as like little bloggers or Twitter, the little accounts that are, not super credible, but there's a lot of people talking about them, right? A lot of people commenting on this. Let's say they're all talking about a district right here. That makes them very credible as well. As you can see, they're a little bit bigger. There's a lot of people talking. It's not necessarily the most credible source, but they seem to be pretty popular. And so as you can see, as you start referencing other folks that are credible and you get people referencing you, Google will start to notice you. And that's when they begin to start bumping you up in the search rank. Now for social media, it's a little bit different. So currently, as you can see, probably on like Instagram and Facebook nowadays, they've actually changed the way they sort posts. It's not chronological. It's not the most recent post versus, going down to yesterday and then last week. They actually started sorting it based on, what's relevant to you, what they think is relevant. So they're prioritizing on what they think that you want to see and therefore what they think you want to click on. So what they think is the most popular there. You can actually fix this, just so you all know. There is a few settings on all of your social media where you can fix this as well. But this is something to watch out for. You might see an article from a week ago that was very popular on your feed, but it was from a week ago and it was remediated, yesterday. So how accurate is it once you're seeing something on your social? So now we're going to dive into how you can actually fix this. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, no, thank you, Maria. And, one of the things to really keep in mind is that the way that social media in particular works, it's not designed to elevate the things that are most true. It's not meant to elevate the things that'll necessarily brighten your day. The things that show up in your feed are there to designed to create the most amount of engagement, because at the end of the day, currency for social media is your attention. So things like the blue and black or gold or white dress are just pieces of content that create a lot of engagement, and disagreement is a form of engagement. And it doesn't necessarily think about like positive energy or negative energy. It's just looking for attention. And it doesn't care about like fact or fiction if it creates energy and attention. And it seems the things that are like kind of true, but not quite, are the things that, like rumors, get the most traction and get the most attention. So that's what you're up against when you're fighting. And poor special districts, when they're doing their job well, they're not headline news. And when something goes wrong with a special district, which is rare, that has the opportunity to define the headlines of special districts. And what you do for your communities is so important. I mean, you save people a lot of money, you protect and operate democracy at the most local level. You're fundamentally good and focused for your communities, but it's really important that the public understands that and they don't just see headlines made from one bad actor or, somebody who's serving as a campaign operator trying to detract from the work of a district. So all of this is important. And now we want to arm you with the private sector tools that this is what businesses use to promote their brands. Basically, we're sharing these search engine optimizations with you. And the cool thing about you is, as official government organizations, you will quickly move to the top because you are the credible information that Google wants to rank, and these other things want to rank and promote. We can show you how to create that kind of engagement too. So let's jump in. And don't worry, it's not hopeless. We always want to point that out.
Oops, let me go back here.
So the first thing we're going to do is go through a handout, and you can find this at getstreamline.com/SEO. And there's a landing page for you, and you can download this great checklist. And what's kind of fun about this is it's a sort of report card. You can run it today on your site and you'll get a grade. And then you can run it a year from now and see how you're progressing and how you're doing overall as a score. And if you continue to show improvement on these metrics, you will get higher in search engines and you will outrank any kind of unfavorable information or content. And this is great because as you build PageRank and you basically grow the size of your circle, as you saw in that diagram that Maria showed, the chances of you ranking higher when somebody searches for something about your district or issues in your area, maybe if they don't even know your district, you're more likely to show up, and it will frame the way they understand the issue. So if you're doing mosquito and vector control, and you're doing scheduled sprayings and you need to get information out there, or if you're installing new smart meters and you want to get ahead of rumors that these meters are spying on the community, you need to be a few steps ahead of the Nextdoor and other posts, Facebook posts. This is the way to do it. It's to build your rank. So when people search, they don't get the detractor article first, they get your website first. So I'm going to walk through a couple of these at a high level. And it's even fun, like if we have extra time, we can run some of your sites as a test and see how you scan. The first thing we look at is what's called PageRank. So we can actually assess your score, and that's the multiplier that will make sure that your result is higher up on the index than lower on the index. So the higher your PageRank, the more likely you are to be found. So if you use the Moz tool and you punch in the URL of your homepage, it'll give you what's called a domain authority. And that's a score between 0 and 100 that'll tell you how credible Google sees your organization on a scale of 1 to 100. So in general. Now what happens is, if you're 10, maybe you're a little local district with not much of a web presence, maybe your domain authority is about a 10. If you're really like big and out there and you're a large district with a lot of reach, maybe you'll be around 30 or 40. I think the most I've seen for a large district is around 50. If you're a university or something, you'll be up in the 70s or 80s. And if you're, like a massive organization like the New York Times or Stanford.edu or something, then you're in the 90s. But anyway, that's the basis of the score. And it's really cool to work on that and improve that over time. And you will using these strategies. Next is website speed. So Google has been very emphatic about accelerating the speed of websites. Now, interestingly enough, speed is a huge indicator of how likely a user is to use and stay on a site. Amazon, according to its own information, they learned that if they loaded 1 second slower, they would lose $1.2 billion in revenue, because people are so wired for speed. And you've probably experienced that. When you get on a website, it's just taking forever to load. You move on like very quickly. And so these subtle little improvements, like, technology companies go out of their way to make sure their websites are fast. It's important that yours are too. And Google will penalize you if your website is slow. And the third is mobile readiness. There are still websites out there that are not mobile friendly. And that causes a huge problem, because if people are searching for you on a mobile device and you don't have a mobile friendly site, your site won't appear in the listings. So I can literally be at my house typing in Sacramento Sewer District, and it'll pull up on my computer. And then if I get in my car, I can't remember the address and I look it up, it might disappear. It won't be in the results on mobile because it knows it's not a mobile friendly site. So you want to make sure not only that you are mobile friendly, but Google knows and agrees that you're mobile friendly. So you can go use that tool at that link to do a mobile readiness assessment of your site and make sure you're fully mobile friendly. The next thing is a secure site. I hope all of you have secure sites, meaning you're accessed via HTTPS. It's the small lock that appears. This is certainly the case when you go for online banking, but now it's been adopted as a best practice. And what this secure means is it means that that website cannot be changed in transit, meaning that like whatever it is originally is guaranteed to get to the user's browser in its form without any manipulation or changing by a third party. It's a really important concept. It also means that it can't be seen in transit, which, with online banking, you can see would be very important. Next is analytics and continuous improvement. So what's very cool, like how many of you know if you have Google Analytics or some other analytics tool installed on your site? You can raise your hand or type into chat. Yeah, you may find that you don't know, or you have some things installed. If you can get some good information on what your most popular pages are and make those pages easier to find, users will be more engaged with your site, and you'll find that you're providing the right information to the right folks. And if you aren't on a monthly basis providing an update to your board on your most popular pages, I invite you to consider that. boards love to know like how the community is engaging and what the hot topics are. And if you just say, hey, here are the 3 top pages. Again, it's our news article on the feed, or it's this new report that we published justifying a rate increase. Any of those things would be very interesting to members of the board and to others. And so we definitely recommend you install some analytics tools. Lastly, it's very important that you're ADA compliant. And we also have, we have the ADA scan link on our own site that you're welcome to use. It'll run a lighthouse scan of your homepage. We're actually coming out with a more comprehensive accessibility scanning tool that'll check all your pages and your attachments. We will let you know when that's out, so keep an eye out. Super helpful. ADA compliance is key, and there's whole talks on ADA compliance that we'll give you. It's one of the biggest risks facing special district websites today, where we've seen drive-by lawsuits in California, Florida. Now there's new law in Colorado, and we know Oregon. It's just sort of everywhere. Unfortunately, they're in the thousands now, the number of little suits and little drive-bys. So you want to make sure you're scanning well. And the other thing too, you can think of a search engine as a sort of visually impaired user. So the things that make you ADA compliant and accessible to, let's say, a user who's blind will also help you rank better in search engines. So again, it's a great practice, and it's one that you can test today. Lastly, if you have the ability to get a .gov of any kind through any sort of .gov issuing authority, like I know in California, CA.govs are available for special districts. In Colorado, they can go through SIPA. In different states, there's ways to do that. And I would encourage you to look into that. It's free. And as soon as you switch to a .gov, you instantly will gain 5 to 10 domain authority points. So again, if your article's out there with that higher DA score, you'll get a better result.
Usually it's the Oregon Department of Technology. I know it's usually the State Department of Technology that can issue these .gov domains, so I would check with them. If you have questions on how to obtain this too, you can always email us and we can help you out.
Awesome. Now, in terms of on your website itself, we want to talk about content strategies. So you want to write great keyword-rich content. You want to make sure that the URLs on your site have those keywords in them, and you want to make sure that you have good keywords in your content and in your page titles. So these are just like general best practices. On the next page, I'll show you like how a school district took care of kind of a fact versus fiction. So they have a rumor page, and what they do is they state the whole rumor so that they get keyword matching. So if people say that Marion County Public Schools hiding public records, they'll actually hit this page because there's a keyword match. Now they put the fact right next to it. So they're making sure to, at the same time, like they're going to capture the search keywords, but they're also going to clarify it with the true story right there on that page. So this is a brilliant way to get keyword alignment, because you want to speak not only in your own language. You don't just want to be a website that's broadcasting from the inside out. You want to also be listening from the outside in. So I know we worked with a domestic violence organization years ago, and they love to use the word survivor of domestic violence for great reasons. But what were people searching for? What were journalists searching for? They were looking for victim statistics. So they had to find a way to balance the words that the community was using with the language that they wanted to have sort of in power. So if you're a vector control district, you have to ask yourself, what percentage of the public knows what vector control is versus control of mosquito? So there's just a number of ways that we look at this, and we want to make sure that your website is built with the right kind of keywords. What's really cool is you can do keyword research. We actually have available a tool called Google Keyword Planner. And that is a tool that's made available for advertisers, and it gives them the language of the customers. But this is available for free, and you can sign up for it. You have to plug in a credit card number, but you don't have to run any campaigns, and therefore you don't have to pay anything for it. So you can even insert your own personal credit card. Google just wants to make sure you're legitimate, but then it will give you an entire treasure trove of keyword insights. And one thing that's kind of cool, like I think it's on the next slide, Maria, we can actually see, like for vector control example, it will show like how the users actually search for these things. And if you were to pay to rank for the keywords, you could do so, and you could see how much it would cost. You know, one of the most expensive keywords is mesothelioma settlement, and people are paying hundreds of dollars per click. So if you Google mesothelioma settlement, and you click on one of those ads at the top, somebody will be charged $300 for that click. And that's because if there's a 10% chance they turn into a settlement person, and the attorney gets half of that settlement, I mean, right, it's worth $3,000 per click, you know, per person that converts. And so it's all in terms of the math of advertising. Again, as a .gov, you will have the ability to cut through the noise so fast and get to the top of search engines to correct any kind of rumor or perception of your district, and make sure that when people Google you, you have really good results and that you're the one controlling the narrative in the story. So there may be some examples. I know the smart water meter was a big one. You know, Maria, what were some other ones that were coming up where our districts were combating fake news?
The smart water one was a good one. I think they used Bluetooth to drive by and gauge the usage on your water meter, and people thought they were like, like hacking them and stalking them just by using that tool. There was another one where some folks there was an article that came out that a water district was using, I think like 1.1 of the, you know, whatever the measurement is, of a chemical in the water, but they reported it 1,000 times over. Somebody put that online, so they thought they were trying to kill all of their residents. It was completely untrue. And like the one I shared this morning, they thought a board member was being paid $500,000. So there is stuff that is just completely absurd, and it's kind of hilarious, but this can, you know, deter people from moving into your district, right? What if people are searching where they want to move and they see this? That could really be a problem there. Or people fighting against elections and rate increases. You really want the, you know, the right information on your side.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and you know, it's great. Like, so for example, let's take that $500,000 board member, whatever rumor. Like, that district would be well advised to create a page called Special District Board Member Compensation. And then they can use keywords like how to prevent excessive compensation and ensure fair compensation at the blah, blah, blah district, and use however many terms and phrases that they can kind of draw off of what's swirling around on Nextdoor. And then they can say, here's the link to our, you know, board compensation policy and practices. And then, but they just create that landing page with those keywords. They can, if they can tease in or add like other components of related information to that page, it's all right there. And then that's just ripe and ready to scale up to the top of the search engines. Now, one other thing they can do to really help elevate that is getting inbound links. So one of the big things, and this is very simple, but and I put in an example here, like if you have a local paper that's writing something about your district, ask them for a link. Every time you get that inbound link, that's a vote toward your credibility, especially if it's coming from, you know, something that itself has a high rank. You know, and kind of on the next slide, I think we have that example again. Like, this is why, because the more inbound links you get, the more your rank grows and the more your story is likely to be told. Like, if you have a rumor debunking page, but it's on page 5 of the search results, nobody's going to find it. Like, the difference between page 2 and page 1 is huge in terms of the amount of people that have access. Then Maria, I'm going to pass this back to you in terms of what people can do to combat fake news on their social media channels.
Awesome. So for social, it's a little bit different. It's still kind of the same concept here, but there's something that you should do as a district, because I know it can be difficult to decide if you should even have social. And I think Facebook nowadays is making pages for businesses, even if you didn't ask for it. So you either want to claim that. If you can't, make yourself a legitimate one. So it is kind of a hard topic to decide on, but here's some tips. The first one is, you know, build a community of advocates early. So add like your local districts, add your local newspapers, you know, everything like that, just to make sure that you have people on your side that will share your information as well. You also want to post information that's accurate on a timely schedule. So if you never post, Facebook will pretty much not ever show you on the feed, right? You want to make sure that you're posting on a regular cadence. It doesn't have to be every day. It could be once a month or so, but make sure it's accurate information and important information that people will actually read. The third is very important as well for you internally. Make sure you have a policy in place to address misinformation, cranky comments, etc. So think about if you've ever seen on Twitter when somebody complains about like Delta Airlines, right? you see in the comments, they always have the same response to the person. Please DM us and reach out and we can help you, right? So you might want to set something up like that where people can easily copy and paste a response that has been approved by the district. And that way you don't rely on, oops, is that person in a good mood that day? Are they going to say something bad to the commenter? Things like that. The fourth one will help you as well, set clear expectations of how you're going to interact. So let people know like what your hours are. Like we'll respond to your questions within 9 to 5 on business days. Or, if you handle a complaint, you'll go and you'll receive that person's email and you'll reach out to them and you won't do it within the comments. So have an expectation so people don't get cranky, and then you can at least fall back on that. And then as well, have multiple people who can respond to comments. People go on vacation, people get sick, things happen. So you don't want to let this one fall through the cracks because it could be kind of a nightmare in certain cases. So for this one, having a clear response plan and actually how to respond to things, you want to be proactive, not reactive, right? So you want to have a plan ready, maybe discuss it with your staff or your board and say, okay, if something does happen, who's in charge, what will we say, and how are we going to record all of this? You also want to be in the news, and know what's being said about yourself. So what you can do, for example, is set up a Google alert. You can just type in Google Alerts on your browser and actually type in certain keywords like your district name or words related to your district or the county, and it'll actually send you an email every single time it's mentioned on Google, which is pretty handy, so you know immediately and you can respond. You also want to build trust through, authentic messaging. So make sure that you have a brand, make sure that you sound like you do care about your community, not that you're like, we're having a board meeting tonight, show up if you want to. Have some messaging that really is welcoming for the district. And then control the narrative. So similar to the Marion County Public School District that we saw, you want to be able to control that narrative and provide your information. If it's being said about you, make sure that you have a response plan and the correct information that you're referencing in that rumor as well. So I know we can't see the chat currently. So Annalise or Greg, are there any experiences that anyone is sharing within the platform currently?
Yeah, we want to hear from you. So absolutely. Greg.
Yeah, we just can't see anything in the chat right now.
They,
okay, Annalise,
for your protection, they keep us out of your area, I guess.
Yeah.
They keep us in a cage
okay, so we'll
here.
open it up now. Yeah. For some questions.
A while ago, some people said it was kind of a mixed bag of yes and no on when you guys were going through the analytics of the spreadsheet.
Oh, yes.
I haven't seen any questions come in quite yet.
Cool. Well, while we're waiting for any additional questions to roll in, I do think it is one thing that you can learn a lot about, and this will show up when you do your Moz scan, is looking at inbound links to your organization, because that really defines like your credibility and how people are finding you. And if you look in your Google Analytics, if you have it set up, it's very interesting to see like what referring sites are linking to you. So like you'll see in a breakdown, let's say 20% of your traffic is referral traffic, you can see where they're coming from. And it's very interesting. Is it a local paper that had an article about you from 3 years ago that's your largest driver of referral traffic? Is it a statewide directory? What is it? Like, how is it that your site is even on the map for people, and where are they coming from? I know like for Streamline, we're working on a feature to release later this fall that if there's a spike in a new refer, so for example, it usually will indicate like a news article or something that's just dropped, or there's a Facebook post or something that's pointing to the district, it'll alert the GM or alert, whoever is managing the website that, hey, you're starting to get some traffic due to an outbound article. Click here to read that article. You definitely want to be on the front edge of that information. And so it's really important that you know about news about your district before your board members do, right? Like you don't want to be like, because then you can be proactive. You can already be putting those pages together and formulating a response. And again, districts do so well when they just put up information and facts and let the facts stand on their own. They don't need to get in wars on social media. They don't need to comment back with nasty emojis or anything like that. Like if you just post the facts and let that truth stand, but you're aware of the ranking science, you're aware of where to like cross post and how to ask for inbound links, you will be what's found, and the problem kind of settles itself down. We've seen this so many times before, and it's fun to watch it work.
So we did have a question come in. Can I go ahead and address that now?
Yeah, shoot, let's go for it.
Yeah.
So the question we have is, it says, hello there. Is there any way you could show us how to activate the notifications for keywords on Google?
Oh yeah, so how to set up a Google alert. I think that's what that's, I believe that's what that's
Oh,
asking.
I see. Go. So you can just simply type that right here, and then usually what it will do, I think I have some set up as well. So as you can see right here, I have some bills that are, for California, special districts websites. So all you have to do is type in SAAO, get alert, and now I'll get an email every single time it pops up. So pretty simple there. Just go to Google support, and you can do that.
Yeah, that's great. And what I love to do is like add board member names, add topics, add like the region. If you're a fire protection district in your city or in your, in a particular region, try like combinations of the city name and fire and other things. And what's nice about Google Alerts is you can set up the digest interval so it won't like necessarily bash you over the head with every like result. You can set it to come in at a nice kind of clip, but then you get these periodic notifications of what's been happening and you're in the know. Everybody uses Google Alerts that we were.
Yeah.
It's just you need to stay on top of that. Yeah, thanks. That's a great question.
Another question just came in, and they're asking, how do we access Google Analytics and what does it cost?
Great question. So Maria, you want to take this? Or you want me to?
So Google Analytics is free. It's actually pretty awesome. So all you have to do, I can actually show you here. I think I have a couple districts actually on my analytics too. So there are a few videos. You might want to check out YouTube as well, because it can get very deep in the analytics. But what you can do is you can come to your analytics. It'll usually have you set up your account. So I have a bunch of different ones here. I think I even have an Oregon district, Port of Newport. Yeah. So I even have this one. So what you can do is add your website to this, and then what you'll do is you'll actually get a code, and then you can pop that into the back end. On our platform, there's actually a section where you just copy and paste it in. For others, I'm not sure, you might want to have to look that up for like WordPress, for example, but it has a ton of information that you can see. And personally for districts, I think this is the most important. What pages do your users visit? So this will let you know exactly what people are looking for, and this can be a great indication of how you can structure your website. So as you can see here, this is just the home page. They have a ton of hits here. A lot of people want to go to the parks and the reservations, right? So if you see these are your top hits, you want to make sure that you clean them up. They're very easy to find. Put them on the home page, put them on your navigation. And this will also help people just find that page directly. And then they can also start using more search engine optimization using, Port of Newport, RV, online reservations, things like that on Google. So that every time somebody types it in, that'll be the first page that pops up.
And it's always
It'll
interesting.
also give you a digest, I believe, too. You'll get an email. So that's always helpful.
Absolutely. Yeah. And there are some really pretty reports that come out of this. And it is so fun to see like what are the pages that are most frequently accessed on mobile versus what are the pages most frequently accessed on desktop. Like, are there certain browsers or operating systems that are particularly dominant? And then if you have like the marketing pixel integration or some of these other things, you will have to have a cookie notice, which can, be annoying. But if you add that, you can even get like demographic, psychographic breakdowns of your users and get to know your community a little bit better.
Yeah. That's really handy as well.
Yeah,
there's a ton
probably
of
do a thing
information
just on analytics, Maria.
Yeah, seriously. And it doesn't gather like personal information from these folks, don't worry. But it can give you like general audience information, basically like where they're looking from. You can see here, most people, obviously for the Port of Newport, they'll be looking from Portland, for example. So you might find some interesting information here that you never thought about.
And there's a cool map. I think if you scroll down and you click view full list under the city, or view full report, does it do the like map overlay? That always makes the board happy. Like when they have,
oh wow.
Then like if you click in on like click into this, and then click on the US. Oh no, never mind. But like there's a way in which you can filter it in just to like a map of your area. And it's really cool. It'll show your community and then the heat map of like where people are coming from, which is kind of cool. I think if you go back, back one click, Maria, and then if you click, then click state, or let's see, country, under primary dimension. It's right above that. It says primary. Yeah. Anyway, it'll give like some kind of different breakdowns, and then it's kind of cool. Like within that, you can look at just the local visitors versus non-local visitors. Maybe locals are interested in the rates, but like non-locals are interested in board minutes. I mean, who knows? It's always kind of fascinating to see how people use your site and look into it.
Yeah.
All right, Greg, we'll pass it back to you for any other questions that are coming in.
I do not have any other questions that have come in as of yet.
Cool.
Okay.
Well, awesome. I think we would love to give you the gift of time for 10 more minutes before your next session. And I know it's virtual, but it feels good to probably get up and stretch and be able to have a little bit of time. But Maria and I are available for you. Like our entire business is dedicated to helping special districts. So we've created this out, we've sort of emerged out of a web design company and out of having done a number of other things in the past to focus and choose special districts specifically. Like your market that hasn't been served well enough, and there's so much need around technology with special districts. We just find this very exciting and compelling. So we're here to serve you. Yeah. So we encourage you. I think our contact information is there on one of the slides. And Maria will show you on our website, like how you can reach out to us and ask us questions, because maybe you'll think of something a week from now. We want to be there to help with anything that comes up.
Yeah, and you can always check out our website too. We have different, like a blog, and we basically go through like accessibility. Max, touched a little bit on ADA, disaster planning. The summer's coming up, especially on the West Coast. We have a lot of planning to do for this hot summer. So there's a lot of things that we can help you all with. And these are all, free webinars if you ever need help. So just reach out. Here's a little checkout form if you want to, go through that. You can also reach out to us down here or just email us directly. Here's our email addresses.
So one more question came in. Do you have more information on how to get .gov?
I would reach out. You can send me an email, Maria at getstreamline.com, and I can help you. We'll have to work with the Oregon Department of Technology to do so. It's different in each state, so I can help you kind of look through and see that they have a portal set up, or I can talk to Jennifer or other districts that we know that use it as well.
Great question. Thank you. All right. Well, you've got our contact information, and yeah.
Looks like another question came in.
Oh, nice.
So it says, following on another question, how do we access session notes? I didn't see them with the posting on this session. So basically with that, did you guys include any forms that they can download?
So that will be on our website
or anything?
They can do it on getstreamline.com/SEO is where you can find that little form there that we were referencing. And I believe Annalise, we also have it in our virtual booth as well, if you want to check it out there.
Nice. And Jenny, just so you know, she was asking if they could get this presentation in a printed version. What I'm being told is that, remember that the session is being recorded, so you can watch the streamed version after the conference is done. But as far as I know, we don't have the actual slide deck to share with those.
But we would be happy to send those to you if you email us.
Yeah.
Just shoot us an email and we'll send you the deck.
Perfect.
Cool.
Any other questions?
I am not seeing any more coming in now. Let's see, I think we addressed that one. I don't have anything else coming in as questions right now.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you all for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Yeah, it's great. We always love seeing you, and we hope to see you next year in person.
So again, thank you, Mac and Maria, for providing the session for us. Please be sure to the attendees, please be sure to fill out the session evaluation before you head to your next training. And we look forward to seeing you again. Again, thank you guys for presenting, and hope you have a great weekend.
All right, thank you.
too.
Take
Bye,
care.
everyone.
Bye.